What's up, and welcome to episode 28 of Brewing Through the Multiverse. I'm Mike.
And I'm Joel.
I think we got to start just saying that we're a Magic the Gathering podcast. I don't know. We got to maybe explain
No,
it. No?
who knows what this is? This is like partially Cosmere chat. We talked about like
true.
the political upheaval in Europe. I don't know. It just feels like
That's true. Yeah.
it's everything.
All right. Yeah. You got to listen and find out. You have an idea. The symbols above our name shows that we're Magic. Figure it out. Anyway, hello. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, how's it going?
So how has your week been, man?
Not my favorite week. Just not a lot of work. Just a lot of hard work in a growing company. So not enough time to think about Magic. Yeah. But fortunately, there's a lot of Magic planned over the next couple of weeks for me. I know that we have our Saturday session, and I'm actually one of my coworkers got into it. Mark sold drugs to another person, so dude ended up just buying a commander deck and it's playing Arena Standard. And actually, to blow up Mark's spot a little bit, so he teaches one of his coworkers how to play Magic, which is cool, of course. Let's get more people into the hobby. And then he shows him like, oh, this is Arena, and which I also great move. I feel like Arena is a great way for new players to get into the hobby and whatnot. But then he starts playing him in Standard, and now this guy has no cards, barely just learned how to play the game. Has the pre-made like, here you go deck that they give, that they give you like one of each color or like whatever. I forget what it's like in the very beginning, but they give you like a pre-constructed something to fuck around with. And Mark just plays him with his built constructed whatever deck and just fucking stomps on him repeatedly over and over and over again. I was like,
welcome to Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, but I was like, yes, in a way that is kind of like, like hazing and getting people into it. But just like at the same time, I was trying to explain to him at work today. I was like, what you're experiencing is not like the way it should be. Like, you don't know how to build a deck yet. You should try Sealed. So I was really pushing Sealed and Draft. Maybe not even so much Draft because you still need to evaluate cards on the fly with the time limit.
Yeah.
So I don't really know if that's like the best, but I feel like Sealed is a great way to start because it's just, these are your cards, put them together, and everyone else had the same situation. So
yeah, that's actually a great advice. I really like Sealed for new players, or because it's a great way to, one, learn a set, two, put cards into practice and see, because you read it and then you have to play it because you only have so many cards to play, and you start to learn, wow, I really like Lifelink. I really like Menace, or this is what flying actually does. And it allows you to learn a card because you have to play a card.
Yeah.
And Sealed is the shit for everybody. Experienced players too. I love Sealed. I wish Sealed was actually available all the time on Arena in addition to Draft. It's kind of sad that Sealed is only for the first few weeks of a set coming out.
Yeah. It should just be a constant thing. It's whatever the current set is.
And it doesn't even have to be the current set. Like, let the current set, like they do for the quick draft, where it's the current set and then put it back to another set in Standard. Like, I'd love to do a Sealed event again of, Capenna before it rotates, put it in. We're losing Capenna soon, so let me seal
Thank God.
It's a great set. But yeah, man. All right. So I went to the Standard Store Championship. I spelled champion. Championship. All right, guys. All right. So anyway, take that down. I went to the must have been autocorrect.
Championship.
Oh, geez. So I went. I was building my disguise deck, and the whole time I'm ready for it. The problem is a lot of my cards didn't show up. I had like 8 to 10 cards not show up yet, which took away a big part of the actual game plan of my deck.
Yeah.
So I had to, rig it up with some random cards that didn't actually jive like I needed it to. So I was already at a pretty big detriment, but it's okay. Standard. I know how to play. I'll be there. Troy was supposed to be coming with me. We were all set. Like 3 hours before the event, he calls me and he's like, "Man, I think I'm gonna go fishing. It's really nice outside." I was like, "Dude, we've been planning this forever. I built a deck. Let's do this." Do fishing.
Nope. So 0 out of 10.
So I went in there. I went, marched into D-Day by myself. First game I played was against Rafine. It ended up going pretty well. I got to game 3, and on game 3, I got them down to 2 life, and then they had dropped. It was a blue-white card that ended up. I don't know. Someone's shutting my door. It's a blue-white card with lifelink, but it also has the disturb where it could come back on the other side. Yeah. And he put that out, and Rafine just pumped it up, and he gained like 6 life. And at that point, I was like, okay, I don't think I'm gonna recover. And I lost it. I was so close. And any face down card I got, I could have flipped it and dealt the damage and won right there. But my top decking at the end of that game just wasn't there. So
it's like land removal, and it's like, come on.
Yeah. And my one card I sideboarded in was Rakdos, the Lord of Patrons, or the one from Murders. And I had 5 mana, and he was 6 mana, and that was one of the things I drew. And it was like this card that I couldn't play. And if I didn't sideboard it in, maybe I could have done it. So it got me. But game 2, I played against Boros Convoke. It whooped me so fast I couldn't even see what was happening. It was unbelievable. That deck is explosive, awesome. Boros Convoke, hell yeah. And then game 3, the guy I was playing against was an aggro deck, but he got so fucked with his draws. First game was all mana. Next game was no mana. So I was able to solidify that. So I gotta win. I brought it.
Look, I'm at the W. It's not bad. I want to say that I find it interesting, not interesting, but I know that we've talked a lot about like what the metagame looks like. And I remember asking like a month ago, like, oh, are you seeing a lot of Esper? Are you seeing a lot of Boros? And I feel like you're saying like not so much, but then turns out in paper that people are still running Rafine.
I think you nailed it on the head by saying it's best of 3 that has those.
Yes. Yeah.
Because my deck is great for best of 1. These disguise cards come down. You have no idea what I'm doing. And then I do it. But after I do that in game 2, you're going to know exactly what I'm doing. And it's not as efficient. So I think that there is totally a different set and precedent for what's being played in one, best of 1 instead of best of 3. They are 2 totally different formats.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was nice. It was fun. I'm excited to go to more standard events. I have my whole deck together now. I mean, I bought the whole land base. Just here's $50. Give me all the Rakdos lands I can get.
Word.
And, I'm ready. I'm down to play. And what's good too is it's good for Pioneer. If you want to fuck with some Friday Pioneer, I'm there. So opening up doors, keeping it happening. All right. You play any standard arena?
0%. Haven't opened it in months.
My God.
I got those Murders drafts in. That was it.
Okay. Fair. I built a Rakdos. Can you believe it? I built a Rakdos Outlaws deck. I know. But I mean, Outlaws is supposed to be Rakdos, so that it fits. It's a lot of fun. I'm using crime and abusing crime, and the Vile Smasher, the Grenadier. I talked shit on him on our previews of this set, but that really played out well. It's nice. Everything that enters. There's a 4 mana, 2 red creature. It's like a 2/4, but when it enters, make 2 mercenaries. And when that enters, if I have the Vile Smasher out, it deals 3 damage just for them entering. And then all mercenaries have haste from the 4-drop. So now I could swing with things. And I really like this deck. I'm going to continue to play this out. And Rakdos is the format.
Is that you said standard, right?
Yeah, standard. It's from Thunder Junction. It's a 2 red 2/4. When it enters, make 2 mercenaries, and then it has haste. They all have.
Do you find that, like, I'm just noticing this trend, and tell me if I'm off base here, but when a new set comes out and you like to tinker, like, I feel like you tend to build around the set a lot of the time.
Yes.
Like with the disguise deck, that was like the murders thing, and then with this deck with with the outlaws. So do you find that you tend to do that? Like a new set comes out and you build like almost a themed deck based on that set?
Yeah, definitely. I like to see what the set offers. That's why I like sealed so much, is you get to really use this whole set. And when I go into 40 card, I mean, they give you a lot of tools, like for mercenary, for outlaws. They gave you a lot of tools in this set. So why not put all the tools that are clearly supposed to go for it? And then, just removal spells and stuff like that can come from other sets. But I tend to not build the good stuff decks. I would like a tight theme, and I do love to explore what a new set has to offer. So I do have fun doing that. Yeah.
Mm. That's cool. You get to experience the flavor.
Exactly. Yeah. Get the whole experience, like, roll it around the mouth, get the notes, yeah.
Vanilla.
Yeah. Yeah. That's again, that's why I say Arena tends to be a deck builder simulator for me, is because a new set comes out and I just want to see how everything fits. It's a puzzle.
Yeah.
And,
now, are you still reaching out? I was gonna say, are you still reaching out for like the removals and stuff from other sets? So you tend to keep it just all within like, is it just Outlaws cards, or is it like the staples plus like mostly Outlaws cards?
Removal and card draw, I try to keep as staples for the format, only because I don't get to do what I want to do with my theme unless the board is being handled in some form and I have some sort of card draw. So those I have to take from everywhere else. But a lot of times a set will have something that fits in with the theme also, like plot. There's that, 2 mana, draw 2, discard a card, then draw 2 that most sets have, but you can have it with plot. So I'll run that one instead of the, Wilds of Eldraine one, just because it's more thematical. But plus plot is way better than I'm giving it credit. It just keeps on, every time I play a plot card, it's better than
just investing in the future.
Yeah. And then being able to drop that for free and then have it have abilities. It's again, I keep on saying, like, you're playing that card, but that card has a text that says this creature phases out until you want it to unphase out. That's how I see it. So I paid my mana, I got it out, it's all good, and it's protected. And I say when it, it does its shit. So yeah, Arena. But today we're talking about Commander, man. You posed the idea that we finally categorize our favorite cards in Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
Break it down and categorize it. So what are we doing today with this?
We're doing white. Today is white. So your top 3 favorite cards in white.
Top 3 favorite white cards. Now explain the parameters. I know we approach this a little differently. How did you choose these 3 cards?
I just went with, so I've started to like map out most of like the monocolors, and a lot of the times it was just like cards that mean something to me, or that I love to see in my hand, or I like how you phrase it, like kind of represent like the theme of the color. So I didn't really have like a set mentality approaching this. I literally just sat down and said, like, basically the first thing was, what are the first cards that come to mind? Because I feel like whatever my brain could recall the most quickly, must be at the top of the list for some reason. And then after I kind of had like an initial list of 3, I started to like wheedle it down and just, oh, I forgot about that, or that kind of thing. So I feel, it's a variety of reasons. How did you approach it?
Well, I had I chose each color and thought about what I love to do with that color. And then I thought, well, with what I love to do, what card embodies what that mechanic or idea is.
Okay.
So a lot of them, honestly, when I first think about it, a lot of my favorite cards and colors ended up being removal. I was like, this is like my favorite removal, but I made sure I didn't put any removal cards in here because I don't know. I that's a tool more than it is like a card, in my opinion. So I kept it to fun things that explain what I like about that color itself. And a lot of it is commander cards, but most of them I did play in other formats and such. So it's not Commander specific. But why don't you start us off, man? What was the first white card that went into your head of,
okay,
that's what I love?
I'm going to get this out of the way. I'm going to cheat because I guess this is 4 cards. But I don't feel like I could say this. But number 1, no contest, no questions asked, no holds barred. Teferi's Protection is by and large. I would say Teferi's Protection is my favorite card in Magic the Gathering, let alone just in white. So which is why I feel like I can't really count it, because it's like, it's Teferi's Protection. Of course it's good. You know what I mean? But yeah. I just quickly wanted to point out that I love that it just keeps me safe in a little bubble. And as we talked about last episode, like a lot of the time, most of what I want to do is like, hey, stay away from me, leave me alone type of strategy. Is like, just don't interact with me, which obviously everyone doesn't want interaction, but you know what I mean? Like, so Teferi's Protection is like above the list. It's not even on the list because it's like above the list. So my first card actually that came to mind, and I think you like this card too. One of my top 3 favorite Magic cards in white, Mana Tithe.
Yes,
and I fucking love Mana Tithe, and there's a very specific story about why I love Mana Tithe, because Mana Tithe is a card that like I'll always put in a deck, but then it's almost certainly one of the first cards that gets cut because it's just so hard to justify that spot when there's so many other things that you could do. Like even Rebuff the Wicked. Like I'd rather run a Rebuff the Wicked than a Mana Tithe. But the story is that we've mentioned this guy before, but there's a player in our area. He's very skilled, tournament grinder sort of guy. So, it's anytime that you play him and you come out victorious, it's always like kind of like a badge of honor in my opinion. So kudos to him for like being that like kind of benchmark of that person. But we were playing in Modern, and this is like back in like 2015, 2016. And I show up to the card store, and I had just like kind of looked into what Modern was like and whatnot. And in fact, I think I even bought the pre-constructed black-white Modern deck that they released. And I looked into strategies for like black and white because Orzhov is my favorite color pairing. And I found a cool little like janky kind of list, and I ran with it. But I'm playing him, whatever, and I managed to make it to game 3, and he thinks I'm out for the count. I forget what he was on, but all I remember is that he's like, okay, I'm fine. He taps out all of his mana to play some gigantic like top end control spell. And when they try to like put their haymaker down because they think you're like out of juice. And I Mana Tithed it, and he was so in shock that like he got caught out by a Mana Tithe that I believe he conceded the game afterwards because he was like, I don't even want to like continue with this because I just got tithed. And that moment will solidify Mana Tithe in my history of just like my favorite cards ever. So yes, Mana Tithe.
Those are the stories that you'll never forget. I've had a few phenomenal experiences with Mana Tithe. I run Mana Tithe in Commander, and I'm sure you've been there for a few times that I've thrown that Mana Tithe out during an X spell or some massive drop that So it always makes that moment of no fucking way. You just countered me with a one
and it's one
spell.
mana, dude, and it's one mana to cast, but you only need to pay 1. But like, you're not expecting it. You're not counting for that.
Right. And the beauty of it is those times when that player taps out, they truly are going for it. It is all in. And that's the only time that this card really works. And that's the most beautiful thing about Mana Tithe. Best counter spell in Magic. My biggest story about it, and I think I've told it on the podcast, is actually when I got into Modern. So now you're into Modern, now I'm getting into Modern, and I built the Knowledge Pool combo deck for locking people out. I was like, oh, this will be part. And my first time we sat down to play, you whooped my ass like 5-6 times. Lingering Souls was the card that you kept playing.
Souls, flashback Souls, bro. I loved Abzan.
Which actually, my favorite altering was I had done a whole bunch of spirits. I extended the arts of a whole bunch of spirits for you, and that was
you mean
one of my
these
favorite
spirits
shit.
that I have readily available.
Oh my
next
god!
to me,
look at that.
Because my second card, you kind of spoiled it, is Lingering Souls.
Oh, well, that
so
makes
I kind of
sense.
snuck
That's
two
so
in
funny.
there.
Oh,
so yeah,
fuck,
I still have them to this day. It's been almost 10 years. I don't know when you did these.
I didn't think you would have had them still, because
oh, bro, they're near and dear to my heart. I would never get rid of them.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that was fun. But yeah, so yeah, you ended up mana tithing my combo right as I went to do it for my first time, and that was my introduction to Magic. That's why when you say Mark is teaching his buddy and whooping his ass, and I'm like, yeah, that's the way it's got to go, you know.
Maybe
not, but all right. So your next card is Lingering Souls.
Yes.
Go ahead, read that one. What does that do?
Let me pull it up. Okay, Lingering Souls. And the reason I have this one selected is because, I was on Abzan for a long time when I played Modern, and this card is just fucking awesome. So it's 3 mana sorcery where you create 2 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying, and you can flash it back for 1 and a black. So, for 5 mana, you can get 4 1/1 flyers. And it's a very simple card. It's an uncommon. It's nothing splashy. But I just love the play style of, you'd be surprised at how often those 1/1 flyers kind of like chip in for damage, or you can use them to sacrifice for other things. And with flashback being in your graveyard, I like having things you can cast from the graveyard, because then if I'm running out of juice in my hand, well, at least I can put 2 1/1 flyers out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and I'm a big fan of playing cards that, I have to discard something for myself. Like, there's always going to be a benefit if you have to discard a card. So I'm always running cards that I have to discard. And if there's a card like, Lingering Souls, where, all right, I can discard it to get a benefit, but also cast it from graveyard for less than it would have been in hand, that's quality. That is the idea of efficiency. And 4 1/1 flyers for 5 mana doesn't sound impressive, but you get to break it up as you need. You get your first 2 for less, and then on another turn when you're ready, you get the other 2. And the flying is something you cannot, get away from. 4 1/1 flyers are small, but that's, in 5 turns they'll kill you if you can't handle these little 1/1s. So
yeah, exactly.
Great card.
Yeah, big fan. All right, you do too now.
All right. Might have gonna go a different turn here. All right. So my first card, when you said, choose your favorites for white, the first card that came to mind immediately was Flumph. So Flumph is a 1 and a white 0/4 with defender and flying. So he would be able to stop those little 1/1 spirits. And whenever Flumph is dealt damage, you and target opponent each draw a card. A 2 mana 0/4 is a great defender. It's got flying. It'll protect. It'll do everything it needs to do, for a small defender. The fact that you can use this draw card as a tactical point of your board, of your game plan, of whatever you're trying to do, is my favorite. And also, like I always say, when I'm playing Commander, I want it to be somewhat of a co-op game. I always look to help some people at some points of the game. It's never going to always be I'm your enemy. And to kind of say early in the game is like, hey, swing at me, man. Come on, we both draw a card. And now I am helping people. Everything's good, but also I'm getting my card. And that damage isn't coming through. And it makes goodwill. It's a good time, but it's also a good card. I mean, it's a 2 mana 0/4 that protects and is card advantage in a color that sometimes I don't want to put in a card dedicated to just drawing in white, because there's not a lot. There's not that much white card draw. You have to do loops. And if my loop is be a friend, let's do it that way. So Flumph.
Love Flumph. Get the Flumph tattoo.
Yes. For anyone who doesn't know, once I'm rolling in the dough, I'm going to get a nice big old Flumph tattoo on my belly. And its mouth will be my belly button. And its tendrils will come up from my... It's going to be a good tattoo. So, all right. Let me go to my next one. It's also pretty friendly. My favorite creature in white, other than Flump, is Mangara the Diplomat.
Ooh, I almost picked that.
Yeah, it's 3 and a white, 2/4 with lifelink. He's a legendary human cleric, and whenever an opponent attacks with creatures, if 2 or more of those creatures are attacking you and or planeswalkers you control, draw a card. Whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, draw a card. He's a good blocker. He's got lifelink, and he also draws you cards in a gentlemanly way. I see him honestly. So, okay, hot take. I see him as Rhystic Study, where you don't have to ask people to pay the 1. So hear me out.
Okay.
Rhystic Study, typically the first spell I cast, if you have a Rhystic Study and I'm casting my first spell, I'm going to pay the 1. That second spell I cast, I realize like, I can't pay the 1 for my second one. So you're going to draw 1 when I cast that second spell. That's what Mangara says, ultimately, is when you cast your second spell, draw a card. And the potential isn't as high as Rhystic. But at the end of the day, you cast that second spell, I'm drawing that card, and it works the same. Okay. But also, it makes you not want to attack me, where if you have a Rhystic Study, I'm attacking you. Unless you have a Propaganda, too.
Rhystic Study at home.
Yeah, that's it. Homebrew Rhystic Study. But it's also a 2/4. I mean, how many times, because I've played it in Brawl, I've played it in Standard, I've played it in a lot of formats, and how many times that 2 mana, if you could, white puts a lot of 1/1 counters. If you make that a 4/6, and you can start swinging and blocking with a 4/6 while also no one wants to attack you because then you draw a card and this and that. Mangara is a gentlemanly way to get value from your opponents without them, without bothering them and making them realize what you're really giving.
Yeah. So that's you know what? You've explained that well. I'm on board.
Yeah, Mangara, my man.
Great card.
All right, what's your third white? What's the number 3?
Number 3, this was very difficult because there's a lot of cards, but ultimately I decided on Shalai, Voice of Plenty.
Oh, okay.
3 and a white for a 3/4 angel of flying. You, planeswalkers you control, and other creatures you control have hexproof. So that right there, again, like I said before, I think part of the reason why I like white so much is it's very it has most of the leave me alone effects. Because I almost put Grand Arbiter, not Grand Arbiter, Silent Arbiter? Grand Abolisher. That's what it is. Yeah. I almost put Grand Abolisher on there. I just like cards that stop people from fucking with my shit. And Shalai is great for that. And usually I'll play a Shalai with the I have an angel deck and I'll run it with Sigarda, and then when you get Sigarda out, that gives everything hexproof and they just protect each other, so that's super cool. Especially when you get Avacyn out, so you just have to mass exile. But the other reason why I like Shalai so much too is because for 6 mana you can put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control, and that's not a fantastic rate, but I just find that as the game goes on and you're building up a board, especially in white, because white tends to go wide, you have a mana sink when you're starting to run out of gas, and now all of a sudden all your creatures are getting stronger. And if you have a ton of mana, you can do it more than once per turn because you don't have to tap Shalai. So Shalai ended up being my third. Just don't touch my stuff. I don't want you to target my things. So stop.
Yeah. That that is what white does best. You said it best. Of white is the hey, leave me alone. And it's protection, it's pump, it's creature, it's got flying, it's everything you want, man. Checks all the boxes. Stuff. Yeah, Shalai truly is. She's a gem. Good job, Shalai.
Yeah.
Now Shalai is the one. There was that secret lair of Shalai. Right? Fuck. Where there was I'm thinking of one angel. I hope it's Shalai, where they did this wild artwork of her in this full borderless. I don't know. They've done so many angels. I'm sure they did, but
yeah, I think there was that a secret lair?
There's got to be, because I remember seeing.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you show it up on screen? Because
we can share. We can share.
That's right.
We can share.
All right, I'm only having 2 drinks because I literally have to go to work after this. So you hear that?
Yeah,
I'm being responsible. 2 drinks. That's yes, dude. How fucking badass and just she looks like a true fucking angel warrior right there. Shalai, so badass.
I'm so partial to like female like angel warrior types, especially when they're not like overly sexualized. Like she just looks like a fucking badass. And of course, you know, I don't mind some fan service, but I do appreciate like, you know, it's like a strong, badass fucking chick with a sword. Like, let's go.
Yeah, the duality. I want the anime version with all the features, and then I also want
you know, some cool one with realistic armor.
Yeah, the Brandon Sanderson version.
Yeah, exactly.
He fucking knows how to portray a woman with power.
Yeah,
it's so great. Yasna
is my favorite character. Well, one of them.
Shalai stresses me out so much. I really,
Shallan?
I sweat when I think about Shalai.
You mean Shallan?
Shallan, yes.
But yeah, Shalai is on the brain.
All my damn magic nerdy shit.
And what is your third white?
So my third also goes to the case. So all right, this is a reinforcement. White is a protection. Don't touch me. Work together. Very diplomatic color. My number 3 card is Tenuous Truce. It's a fairly new card. It's a 1 in a white enchantment aura. Enchant opponent. At the beginning of enchanted opponent's end step, you and that player each draw a card. Definitely have a theme on here with white. When you attack enchanted person or a planeswalker they control, or when they attack you or a planeswalker you control, sacrifice Tenuous Truce. And I chose this card because it's my favorite kind of thing to do. Again, and this will be through all the colors. I'm making a deal. There's some sort of past the board agreement of like, hey man, you don't attack me, I don't attack you. We both benefit from it. Let's see what we can do with it. And a lot of times, I mean, I've enchanted people and immediately they're like, no, fuck you. I'm attacking you. We're getting rid of this. I don't even like that you targeted me with this. I don't know why I have it. Get it out of here. But also there are those times when, you know, there are people who need that card draw and you take advantage of it. It's like, let's work together. And there is that moment where like the game gets later on, they've built their board, I've built my board. And there's this honor that they uphold of like, no, we still have this Tenuous Truce. I'm not going to attack you until I have to. And that 2 mana ends up not only getting me a ton of cards, but it also saves me life. So the way I see it is 2 mana, draw 6 cards, gain 15 life.
Yeah, dissuade attacks.
Yeah. So Tenuous Truce is a fun, cheap, easy enchantment to play. It's only looks like you could get it for like less than $1. So I say give Tenuous Truce a try. You'll end up having a great time in Commander. Yeah. Is there any other shout outs or any cards that almost made it?
Yeah, quick honorable mention rundown. Silk Wrap. I fucking love Silk Wrap. What a great card. 2 mana. Ooh, exiles a creature, mana value 3 or less until it leaves the battlefield. I just remember running that in a standard deck back in Khans of Tarkir, and it's such a great play. Turn 1 play, you play a creature. And what I love about that card specifically is that when you're on the draw, it's also still very good because, you know, they play their 1-drop, you play your 1-drop, they play their 2-drop, you get rid of their 2-drop. And now you're just evening out the board for 2 mana. I don't know. I love Silk Wrap. Great card.
Yeah.
And then you use the Eldrazi and Jester to like fucking put it in their graveyard so they never get it back. Yeah. Awesome. Love it.
Yeah. Not to mention it's a permanent. It gets you towards City's Blessing if you're trying to do something like that. You know, I mean, this permanents are permanents.
And then my 2 more quick shout outs are Brimaz, King of Oreskos, or I don't know how to fucking say that. Or Oriskos? Oreskos. Orskos. King of Orskos. We're going with King of Orskos. He still has a decent price tag, actually. But I remember when I first came onto Magic and I was looking into the decks, like I said before, for like Modern, Brimaz was like one of those cards that was like, oh, Brimaz is so good. 3 mana, 3/4 with Vigilance that makes a 1/1 every time when you're attacking, and a 1/1 when it blocks something is fucking awesome. So that card's great. And then the last card for my quick shout outs is Thalia, Guardian of Thraben.
Yeah.
First strike, non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast. I just like the stacksy kind of pieces, and I tend to go more creature heavy. So the Timmy in me. And I always loved that it kind of slowed down like, counter spells and shit like that. So Thalia's cool.
Yeah.
What are your three?
Thalia, so first off, Thalia, the first strike is so important for her. I love because as the opponent to a Thalia, she really does defend. She's got that first strike, so your early turns can't swing in. And now suddenly the removal for her, you can't cast right away. She really does throw a wrench into a lot of plans, and all of her artwork in every one of her artworks, it's top notch. Yeah, solid. So for my honorable mentions, I only have one, man, and it's Swords to Plowshare.
I almost did it too.
Yeah. It's not because it's good removal. It is good removal, but it's so iconic for the color. I love that it references the Bible. I love that you can use it on yourself. Like, there are definitely those scenarios where someone's swinging fatal at you and they're going wide. You cannot just remove it. You're gonna lose, but you can block one creature with your big guy. So one creature's blocked, and then you do it on your own creature. Gain that life. Now you survive. Now suddenly it's a thing. It has more utility than just being an exile spell, but the fact that it's a 1 mana exile spell is as good as it gets in removal. You know?
It's definitely up there for removal. I mean, I think it might be the most popular white card in Commander for a good reason.
Path to Exile or Swords to Plowshares? Because I'm Swords.
Swords.
I know some people.
Swords any day. You don't want to give them the land.
Yeah, fuck out of here.
The only time I would prefer Path is when I have to path my own creature so I can get a fucking land because I'm falling behind on mana.
Yeah, which is also usable, but at the end of the day, that's Swords. Oof. Well, all right. So we're at 37 minutes. I know we're trying to cut it short. Do you want to do this, or do you want to try one more color in here?
I'm good here, but we could do another quick cast. I feel like we could squeeze another one in, like it's like maybe do 2 next week.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. I mean, I'm down for pumping out as much as we can. Now with my night shifts, I'm sitting around all day waiting to go to work. So anytime you have, let me know. We'll keep on recording this because I have so much to say. I can never shut the fuck up about Magic. So all right, awesome, man. Well, let's do one little quick fun or trash, actually.
Oh, you have one?
Before we get out of here. Yeah. And this is a weird fun or trash, and I'll explain afterwards. But Hullbreaker Horror, which is 5 blue, 7/8 with flash. This spell can't be countered. Whenever you cast a spell, choose up to 1. Return target spell you don't control to its owner's hand. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. So ultimately, it's a 7 mana, 7/8 with flash. It can't be countered. And whenever you cast a spell, you can return target spell that you don't control. So you could return spells almost like a counter, or you can return non-land permanents. And ultimately, what it does is it comes out, people cast a whole bunch of spells, and they bounce everything to people's hands. Hullbreaker Horror, fun or trash?
I mean, I don't feel like I could say it's trash because it's like in a lot of like CDH decks and stuff, but like I fucking hate playing against it, so trash to play against.
Okay, yeah. So at the end of the day, you have to ask: would you rather call it fun, or would you rather call it trash?
But it's just like fuck. It's. I wish there was a third option because it's objectively not bad, but fuck that card. So,
do you run Hullbreaker Horror?
I currently do not run Hullbreaker Horror in any deck.
Yeah, me either. And I have decks that can use it. Well, I have one deck that can use it, but it's a card I've chosen not to run.
I think sorry, go on. You finish.
No, I was gonna say, have you played it though? Like, I know you don't have it right now. Have you played it and you've done the whole thing where you bounce everyone to each other's hands?
I have only played it in 2 decks. When I had a horror deck with whatever the fuck that horror was that came out like fairly recently.
The zombie horror commander.
Yeah, so that, and I also played it in my sea creature deck because it's a Kraken. So I've literally only ever used it for its creature types. And I got some value out of it. Like, I did bounce some stuff, but I don't usually run it.
Yeah. I had this in Wrath for a while. So Wrath is an Azorius flash commander, and it says all historic spells have flash. So the whole point of the deck was everything in my deck had flash. I would be able to cast anything whenever I want. And as much as that deck really was a pain in the ass, it was not a fun deck to play against. It was full of instant spells and counters and things that entered, and when it entered, it fucked you up. But Hullbreaker was one of the few cards that I actually did pull out of the deck because it was a little much. Only because I would drop it, and it has flash, so you could cast it on someone's turn, and it enters, and it's a big thing. And then on your turn, you can just drop everything you have and bounce. It's bouncing too much stuff. And it's not casting spells to bounce stuff. It's I'm casting something to fucking gain my life, do my things, draw cards, destroy stuff, power. But while I'm doing that, also get that to your hand, And it's not
whatever
you want. Enchantments, this, that. There's no limit. And every time I've ever cast one, I've not felt good about it. And I've actually kind of, I'll sandbag some shit only because it's so oppressive. So
yeah,
I think it's trash, honestly. Listen, is it a good card? Like you said, yeah, it's objectively decent, but I really do think this is a trash card.
Yeah, it's not my favorite.
No. Yeah. And if you play Hullbreaker Horror against me, I'm judging you. Yeah, I'm judging. All right, man. Well, listen, this is good. I'm glad we got to meet up, have a little Magic powwow. We will be playing Magic with Connor and Melissa on Saturday.
Yep.
I'm going to be playing Commander with Keldon, Carolyn, and Nick on Sunday. Then we have our marathon next Saturday.
Yeah. So I have a session planned for next Friday as well.
Nice. Oh yeah. Shit. Dude, look at that. We're doing it. Feast or famine. We're now in the feast.
The feast phase. Feast phase.
Yes. I'm ready. I'm so ready for this. So good. I'll see you this weekend. And yeah, I'm excited to hear what other cards. I'm glad we're doing this actual categorization of what are the best cards in Magic the Gathering. So, if you're listening, you got it wrong if you don't think these are the best cards. These are
hot takes. Cards. Hot takes. Teferi's Protection's good. Hot take.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you went Teferi's Protection. I went Flump.
I didn't put it on the list. It wasn't on the list. I took it off the list.
That's true. All right, fair. No, I'm very happy with your list. I made a little list of the cards I think that you're gonna choose, just so you know.
Interesting.
I didn't get to white. I went through a few other colors, so but I was very happy with your white choices. Like I said, I'm judging you. So all right, man. The bottom of the glass.
glass.
See you later.